You know how I realized as a single mom that it does not matter how much gray you have, how many kids you have, or what the fuck you have going on. Any man of any age is gonna be okay with you, and you are never gonna be alone. If you want some fucking love, you can find love. Okay. I was struggling after my divorce, waking up every day out of the fucking depths of my darkness. And I would forget to put the fucking trash out every week. So every week I would hear the fucking trash come, and I would run outside and meet the trash man and be like, actually, he was the recycle dude. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can you help me? And this motherfucker would help me bring all my boxes and load them in his truck. He would let me like load them in and throw them in sometimes too. And I was like, oh my God. He was a lot younger than me though. I was 38 and he was 28. So he was 10 years younger than me, and it was very obvious. And you could see my kids inside, and I came out every day looking like shit. So I was like, no way does this kid look at me that way. But then one day I was like, fuck, it's recycle day, and I don't got time to be out there talking to this kid for like 30 minutes because every time he picks up the trash, he wants to fucking chit chat with me. And like, as I was saying the words out loud, I was like, oh, he's kind of, maybe he's into me. So then that day I was like, hey, listen, I don't have a lot of time to chit chat. I know we usually sit here and talk, but you know, like, would you want my number? I don't know what's going on, but would you want my number? Maybe like we can hang out. I don't know. He goes, fucking finally, I'm at work. I can't hit on you. I can't ask you for your number. If you were to tell my boss, I would be in so much trouble. I was waiting for you to say something. Fuck yeah, I'm interested. All right, the rest is fucking history.
Women don't like nice guys. I work with women all day and I hear them complaining about toxic men. And then when a guy is nice to them, they just always talk about how he's just too thirsty. How is he too thirsty? Because he's into you. And then you want to complain about the men that are talking to multiple other women and are emotionally unavailable and don't give you time of the day.
No one plays the victim better than a woman who knows that she did you dirty. Listen, she'll stir up chaos in your life, and then she'll say that you're the one stressing her out. She'll break your trust, and when you bring it up, she'll call it living in the past. When really, it's her same patterns showing up again and again. She'll tell you that you have negative energy, while she's the one draining you dry with all the lies, the mood swings, and making you feel like you're walking on eggshells. And you know what? When she finally breaks your heart, suddenly she's the one crying, acting like she's hurting just as much because now she has to deal with the mess that she made. And that's the trick, fellas. She flips the story so it looks like both of you are wounded, when in reality, it was her choice. Nobody forced her to disrespect you. Nobody made her betray you. She could have left if she was that unhappy. But instead, she stayed and she did the damage. And then when it's time to face the consequences, she plays the victim. She puts on a show, tears, excuses, and stories. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing it. You'll start thinking that you are the problem. But don't fall for it. She had a choice between protecting your peace or breaking it, and she chose to break it. So don't sit in the audience watching her performance. Cut her role, end the act, and walk back into your peace, guys. Because your peace doesn't need a victim. It needs you. And ladies, we need to do better. Do the work to heal, deal with ourselves, deal with our traumas, because at the end of the day, we can keep saying, men are dogs, men are not good, men are this, and men are that. But at the end of the day, if we look back at ourselves and we realize that we only attract the type of people who are a reflection of who we are. So the type of men that you're attracting is saying something about you. So if you keep attracting men who you feel are not good for you, or who are dogs, or who are users, or whatever you want to call them, then you need to look in the mirror, because that is telling you something about you. So be very careful, ladies. And guys, cut the script. Don't let her play victim when she was the one that caused the mess.
Before we dive in, let's address something a lot of men quietly deal with but rarely speak about. There's a specific type of woman who causes damage, creates drama, pushes boundaries, and then somehow positions herself as a fragile one the moment you decide you've had enough. Men keep getting dragged into situations where they're wronged, then guilt-tripped then shame for walking away. It's a cycle many guys are waking up to, and it's time to call out plainly. There's a certain pattern you start to recognize as a man, especially once you've lived through enough emotional chaos. A woman can create the storm, light the fire, and pour fuel on it. Yet the moment you refuse to play along, she suddenly becomes the wounded party. She flips the script so fast that people who weren't even there start thinking you're the villain. It's a performance she's mastered, a role she steps into the second accountability knocks on her door. This is exactly why walking away is so powerful. Not arguing, not explaining, not try to prove anything. Just stepping out of frame removes her ability to twist the situation. Without your presence to blame, she's left with nothing but the choices she made. No audience, no distraction, just her own behavior staring back at her. And for a lot of women like that, silence is more punishing than any confrontation. Men get criticized for distancing themselves, but they rarely talk about why they do it. They choose peace after being dragged through emotional games. They choose self-respect after being manipulated. They choose distance after being made to feel guilty for things they didn't even do. Every time a woman like this turns herself into a martyr, the man she wronged becomes a convenient target. That's why separation is the cleanest escape. Woman who knows she crossed the line will always try to rewrite what happened. Not because she's confused, but because admitting wrongdoing requires maturity she never developed. Instead of accountability, she reaches for sympathy. Instead of reflection, she reaches for attention. And instead of fixing herself, she paints herself as the one who was hurt. This is how she protects her ego. This is how she avoids reality. The smartest thing a man can do? Cut the cord. Let her drift in her own silence. Let her sit with the consequences she tried to hand to you. You don't need to correct her story. You don't need to respond. You don't need to return. A woman who wrongs will expose herself sooner or later. All you have to do is step back and let the guilt echo in the empty space you left behind.
Don't shoot the messenger. Feminism told y'all be strong, independent, and alone. And y'all followed it to the grave. Y'all push all the good men away, call submission slavery, and think being difficult is cute. Now y'all 35 and tired, looking around like, oh, where the good men at? Sis, they moved on. Real men want peace, not problems in a lace front and a loud voice. Feminism sold y'all freedom, but they didn't mention the price. Loneliness.
It's always interesting listening to women call out their own gender, because they reveal what men have been saying for years. The loudest ones claiming independence often circle back in their 30s and 40s, searching for affection they pushed away. Their confidence fades the moment they realize freedom came packaged with isolation. And instead of admitting the lifestyle didn't work, they start trying to revive the connections they once ignored. Men aren't confused about what they want. They value calm, simplicity, and stability. They don't chase drama. They avoid it. The irony is that women demanded separation, claimed they didn't need men, and now they're shocked that men built peaceful lives without them. Guys who focus on women in their financial range barely face the chaos others complain about. It's the men expecting fairness outside that bracket who face the most trouble. Women insist that men are lonely, but that's only true for the small group struggling socially. The rest are living without pressure, without emotional traps, and without someone draining them while calling empowerment. Meanwhile, the women preaching total independence are dealing with rising costs, rising responsibilities, and rising stress. They're realizing adulthood hits different when you're carrying every bill alone. What makes it even more amusing is the online crowd dynamic. When a woman is tearing into men, thousands of women flood the comments celebrating it, sharing it, screaming agreement. But let a woman criticize women, and suddenly the crowd vanishes. No cheering, no support, nobody stepping forward. Accountability evaporates instantly because it forces them to look in a direction they've avoided their whole lives. This disappearance speaks volumes. Women stay loud when the attention benefits them, but silent when responsibility shows up. They don't want correction. They don't want reflection. They don't want growth. They just want validation. And when another woman exposes a behavior, they scatter because it removes the shield they rely on. That's why so many of them avoid any conversation that points the finger back at them. They can't handle the mirror.
30 years to come to the realization that men are the only ones that need to fall in love. Women need to fall in love with themselves and then pick a man that she's most attracted to and treats her the best. And yes, attraction comes first. I'm sorry.
This woman recently admitted something most men have known their whole lives. Men are expected to dive headfirst into devotion, while women spend decades deciding when affection is convenient for them. She openly said it took her 30 years to understand that men are the ones who must give loyalty, commitment, and emotional depth first. Meanwhile, women simply choose whichever man triggers the strongest physical pull and shows them attention. This mindset reveals how uneven the expectations have become. Men are pushed to be intentional from the start, yet women face no pressure to invest equally. They prioritize excitement, appearance, and personal benefits long before they ever consider building something meaningful. For them, the connection only matters if it feeds their ego. If not, they move on without hesitation, regardless of how much the man poured in. It's almost comical how women frame this as self-love. What they call self-love usually ends up being selective affection. They don't choose a partner based on character or long-term potential. They choose based on who captivates them the most in the moment. Men, on the other hand, are expected to earn their place, prove themselves, and maintain a level of devotion that women rarely match. Her statement unintentionally exposed a double standard. A man must fall deeply, but a woman only falls when everything aligns perfectly for her advantage. She searches for the man who gives her the most comfort, while requiring the least sacrifice from her side. It's a system where the man carries the emotional workload, and the woman reaps the benefits without giving the same effort. This explains why so many men end up feeling drained. They're encouraged to lead with sincerity, while women lead with desire. They choose based on meaning. Women choose based on thrill. And once that thrill fades, she simply shifts her attention to someone else. Her realization didn't highlight growth. It highlighted how long women take to understand the imbalance they created, and how comfortable they become expecting men to love harder, love deeper, and love first.
I found out tonight that the girl that I was told to never worry about is the girl that my husband was having an affair with. And while I don't have confirmation on timelines and all of the things, it's all pretty evident. And this girl was an issue in our marriage and our relationship. So I'm sure she's going to see this and probably going to make her happy that she was an issue. But the reason she was an issue is just, I saw them together once when we were first started dating and we were in the gym. And she walked up to him and I was like, who is that? And I remember I met her, I waved to her, I said hi. And ever since that moment, I knew in my intuition that something was wrong. Or just, there's more to the story there. And he had told me they went on one date a long time ago, they used to work together, whatever. Anyways, it continued to be like a weird thing. So I just like didn't want him to be involved with her because I was like, I don't trust it. Anyways, so we moved to Texas from California. And a little backstory, he and I were separated in California for about a year before we moved to Texas. And keep in mind, my daughter Lucy just turned 2. So we were separated when I got pregnant with her. He wanted a divorce when I got pregnant with her and didn't want me to carry on with that pregnancy. And that was a lot of contention for him. And then he got a job opportunity. Well, this is the story he sold me. He got a job opportunity here in Austin, and we had been toying with the idea of moving to Austin when we were, married and still together because of opportunity and all the things. So the opportunity came up, and he was like, we have to move. We have to move. We have to take advantage of this opportunity. If we don't, we're never going to make it in Santa Cruz. We're never going to make it in California. We're going to be broke forever and blah, 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 blah. And okay. And he was like, I know you want to be a stay-at-home mom. So he played into that card. He said, if you move to Texas with me, you can be a stay-at-home mom. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I promise I'll change. I'll be better. And I wanted nothing more. I just had a baby. I'm freshly postpartum. I think Mateo was 2 at the time. I just was trying to survive, and I was trying to run my business and be with the kids and do the whole thing, and nothing sounded better than to just have my husband back and be at home with the kids. Are you kidding? That's the dream. And so I freaking, against my better judgment, moved to Texas. His entire family is here. My entire family is back home. So I left my business, my family, my friends. I was born and raised in Santa Cruz County. I lived there my entire life. Everything I had to my name was there. So I got rid of everything. I paid off all my debt. I drained my bank accounts. I had nothing, which stupid, I know, but I just wanted to keep my family together. So I moved to Texas with my soon-to-be ex-husband. And within 6 weeks of moving here, things were bad. Cops were called and things were awful. And I got a job because I needed an escape plan. And once he realized that I had an escape plan, things got worse. And I'm realizing now that this girl that I met tonight, I knew who she was. I know her. Like, I'm very aware of her. She's very aware of me. Hi, Jenny. I'm realizing now that this girl has been around our entire marriage. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise. Like, timeline for you guys. I moved out here in September, like beginning of September. He moved out here in the beginning of August. And because I had to like wrap things up. And I am convinced that he was already with her when I moved out here. And just like by the way he was acting and stuff. And I am also convinced that they were together back home while we were married and while we were separated. And even when we were separated, we were still like together, if you catch my drift. Like, babies don't get made out of nowhere. Here I am in Texas with no friends or family. Of course, I've made some friends along the way, but none of my people are here. He has started this life playing house with this woman. And tomorrow my son is turning 4. And this woman will be spending my son's birthday with him. And that's just fan-fucking-tastic. And like, I don't care what my ex does. If he wants to have a relationship on his time, like, by all means, do your thing. Like, I'm trying to do the same at some point. Like, fine. But what gets me is we are not even legally divorced yet. Like, yes, date. We're separated. Like, we can date other people. That's very clearly established between us. But bringing them around the kids and playing house with someone, anybody, is wrong. And I am hurt because I was lied to. I am hurt because I left everything that I had and that I had worked so hard to build to move here for him and for our family. And he was lying to me all along. And that sucks. That really sucks. I am just hurt. I'm hurt. And that's okay. Like, I don't want that man back. No take backs, Jenny. But I'm hurt. I'm hurt that I was lied to. I'm hurt that I miss my family. I'm hurt that my kids don't get to experience the life that I wanted for them. Because a man couldn't be a man. And of course, we all have our shit, and I played my part in some way, but the part that I played was not warranted this behavior. It was not warranted to have hands put on me. And he was arrested. And you don't get arrested for twiddling your thumbs, buddy. I share this in hopes that maybe it finds somebody that's going through something similar and it helps them. Because I am a fool. I feel like a fool. I fell for it. I wanted to keep my family together and I got burned. But I have my beautiful babies out of that marriage, and to some degree I will always love my ex. In the sense that, like, I care about him as a human, and he does not deserve that, not in the slightest, but I do care about him, and I understand him better than absolutely anybody on this earth. And I know why he acts the way that he acts, and I know why he does the things that he does, and it's sad. It's just sad. And yeah, I would say I wish the best for him, but I don't. I really don't. I know that's bad. That's probably bad karma, but he doesn't deserve to be happy. After everything he's put me through and everything that he's put these kids through, he does not deserve to be happy. But it is what it is. You made your bed, you gotta lay in it, buddy. But yeah, this is part 1. Do we want to hear part 2? Because I got some stories for y'all.
Why would I help a man get on his feet if there are men who are already standing up?
Oh, darling, I got some bad news for you. You see, as one of those men who's gotten on his feet, probably has more money in the bank than you'll make in 3 lifetimes, has been very successful, the question you really need to be asking is not why would you help a man get on his feet, but why would a man who's on his feet want anything to do with you? Because what are you bringing to the table? Oh, I know. You're going to say this. Well, I hate to break it to you, but this ain't worth what you think it is. There's plenty of this to be found elsewhere. The fact of the matter is what you're showing to men who are on their feet is that you're nothing more than someone who's looking for a paycheck. You're looking for someone to take care of you. You're looking for someone to bear the burden for a lifestyle you think you deserve so that you don't have to put any effort into acquiring it. The reality is this is the mindset of most of today's modern women. The ones who think that they deserve it all while putting absolutely no effort in whatsoever. They think that they are all that, when in reality, they're anything but. And unfortunately for these women, reality is going to smack them right in the face in a few years. They're going to hit that wall, and they're going to realize that all their expectations and dreams about what men are supposed to do for them isn't going to come to fruition. They're going to end up alone and bitter. And then they're going to go making videos going, where are all the men at? That's the reality, ladies. And you got 2 choices. You can keep doing what you're doing, which is basically what this woman is doing, or you can accept the fact that you need to start making an effort also, that you aren't all that, and that you're really not bringing anything to the table that men would really want. That is the reality, like it or not.
Proudly announced that she refuses to support any man who isn't already established, because in her mind, only finished products deserve her presence. She didn't realize she exposed her own insecurity. Men who already built themselves rarely choose women who think like her. They know exactly what kind of partner add value and what kind drains them. So while she thinks she's selecting from the top, those men are silently removing her from consideration. Her mindset shows how many women want the rewards without contributing anything meaningful. They want a man who's already secure, stable, and accomplished, yet they never question what they bring beyond demands. A man who's already stable doesn't need someone showing up late, trying to enjoy what he built. He looks for someone who can walk beside him, not someone expecting him to carry her simply because she showed up. She even claimed she wanted someone to take care of her, which only highlighted the entitlement behind her logic. She expects a man to be fully grounded while she refuses to do any grounding of her own. It's wild how many women want a man to lift them up while they never bothered to lift themselves. They want elevation without foundation, benefits without effort, and commitment without contribution. What she doesn't understand is that assisting a man during his growth isn't charity, it's partnership, but she sees partnership as beneath her. Meanwhile, she overlooks the obvious. You can't help someone rise if you're barely standing yourself. Support requires strength, and most women who think like her have none. They want leadership and stability from men, while offering nothing more than expectations. Her message unintentionally revealed why women with this mindset stay overlooked. Men who already put in the work aren't interested in someone waiting for comfort to be handed to her. They want someone who can stand firm on her own, not someone who expects a fully built life to be delivered to her doorstep. That's why women like her keep circling the same disappointment. They aim high, yet offer low, and blame men for outcomes they created themselves.
We live in a world where society has managed to brainwash women into thinking that they can now become men. Since they can have a higher income, provide for themselves, pay their own bills, buy their own flowers, they've become delusional enough to think that they can become men or that they are men. To the point that they show no respect to men whatsoever. They're out there being promiscuous, anything for the moolah. They are so busy trying to match a man's masculinity that they are unable to stay in their femininity. Make it make sense.
Women have been encouraged to imitate men so aggressively that many of them can't even recognize how far they've drifted from femininity. They've been pushed to copy male behavior, male energy, and male attitudes, and now they walk around acting like competitors instead of partners. Instead of showing appreciation, they show defiance. Instead of cooperation, they choose confrontation. And it's all because they were told that mirroring masculine behavior makes them powerful. This conditioning has created a generation of women who believe respect is optional. They speak to men like rivals, not companions. They challenge every decision a man makes, not because they're right, but because they think matching his intensity proves something. They don't realize that behaving this way only exposes a lack of identity, not strength. They're so focused on appearing dominant that they completely abandon the qualities that make relationships thrive. What's even worse is that many women now treat softness like weakness. They avoid grace, patience, or warmth because they think it makes them vulnerable. Meanwhile, they carry themselves with aggression that doesn't suit them, then blame men when it backfires. They try to occupy a role that isn't theirs, and when they struggle to maintain that posture, they lash out even harder. They spend so much effort portraying toughness that they forget how to simply be themselves. Men see this shift clearly. Women claim they're becoming stronger, yet they're more combative, more dismissive, and more entitled than ever. They talk like men, argue like men, and move like men, then wonder why men don't pursue them with the same urgency. You can't copy the very energy you're supposed to complement and expect positive results. Men aren't looking for a mirror. They're looking for balance. But women keep choosing the opposite. This obsession with matching masculinity has pushed women into a space they can't sustain. They want to dominate, control, and overpower men. But all it's done is make them bitter and disconnected. Instead of learning how to build relationships, they're learning how to compete in them. And eventually, they discover that stepping into a role meant to imitate men only leaves them exhausted, frustrated, and wondering why no man is willing to deal with it.
The lack of accountability in women today is astonishing. And I don't mean a little bit, I mean it's an epidemic. Women make choices every single day, and instead of owning them, they play the victim card, then expect everyone else to feel sorry for them. Take the drunk at a bar scenario. She walks in, orders the drinks, flirts with the guy, goes home with him, gets into his bed, and the next morning she's suddenly confused, saying she felt taken advantage of. No, she knew exactly what she was doing step by step. Nobody forced her to walk into that bar. Nobody forced her to keep drinking. Nobody forced her to leave with the guy. She didn't get ambushed. She made some choices. And now that she regrets those choices, she wants sympathy. That's not accountability. That's rewriting the story so she doesn't look bad. And here's another one. Women who sell themselves for money. OnlyFans, sugar babies, hookers, whatever it is. They say, I had no choice. I went through trauma. Guess what? We all have trauma. Some people turn their pain into purpose. Others use it as an excuse. I don't get it. You're still choosing that life. And when the consequences finally hit, don't expect the world to throw you a pity party, because accountability is a line between being a victim and being powerful. Every time you blame men, trauma, alcohol, you're giving your power away. You're saying that you're not in control. So if you're not in control, then who is? No, I do not feel sorry for women who live recklessly and then cry about the fallout. Life is brutal for everybody. The difference is, are you strong enough to face the mirror and own your own choices, or weak enough to expect the world to excuse them?
There's a growing pattern where certain women want absolute freedom in their decisions, but none of the consequences that come with them. They choose impulsively, then act shocked when the results hurt them. Instead of reflecting, they alter the story to protect their image and expect men to shoulder the blame. They built the mess, yet somehow expect men to clean it up emotionally, socially, and publicly. It's frustrating to watch how quickly responsibility gets dodged. Some women will point fingers at everything except their own actions, alcohol, childhood experiences, society, or whichever man is closest. They overlook how many situations were created by their own choices. Growth requires honesty, but many of them avoid that step because it forces them to confront their own patterns. The most surprising part is how many men have been saying this for years, only to be ignored or called insensitive. Now, more women are finally calling out the behavior, and suddenly people are paying attention. The moment women start telling the truth about these accountability gaps, the narrative changes. Men have been dealing with this imbalance quietly for far too long. These issues get worse when systems reward manipulation instead of transparency. There are situations where certain women use legal advantages to twist outcomes in their favor. It creates an environment where some men feel unsafe because the structure instantly assumes their guilt. Power without responsibility becomes a weapon, and too many women misuse it without thinking twice. What men want is fairness, nothing more. If someone makes a choice, they should own it. If someone starts conflict, they should admit it. If someone lies, they should correct it. Instead, men watch people rewrite events in real time to protect pride. This avoidance of self-reflection damages relationships, creates distrust, and pushes men further away from engagement because dealing with someone who never admits fault is emotionally draining. This is why so many men are stepping back from the chaos. They're tired of being the easy target, the emotional punching bag, and the automatic villain every time someone refuses to face their own choices. Men aren't walking away from responsibility. They're walking away from people who dodge it. Until certain women learn to stand by their decisions, admit when they're wrong, and stop manipulating outcomes to protect themselves, nothing changes. Men are simply choosing their sanity, their peace, and their stability over dealing with someone who refuses to grow. If you're a man watching this, remember, you don't have to carry someone else's mistakes. Let them own what they created. Let them stand in it. And let the truth reveal itself without you getting dragged into the blame they're trying to avoid.